Did you know the U.S. Marines rely on air support more than almost any other branch? Today we're counting down 15 movies that actual Marines, pilots, mechanics, officers, say absolutely nail what it's really like up there. These aren't Hollywood fantasies. They're films so authentic that recruitment centers position themselves at theaters when some of these drop. So strap in, push the throttle, and let's fly. Number 14, Battle of Britain, 1969. Guy Hamilton's legendary epic assembles 109 actual World War II aircraft, making it temporarily the world's 35th largest air force during production. This wasn't CGI. This wasn't miniatures. These were real Spitfires, Hurricanes, and German fighters screaming across authentic English skies. The production pulled these planes from museums and private collectors across Europe, spending $12 million just to get them airborne. Michael Caine and Christopher Plummer defend the channel from the Luftwaffe in sequences so technically precise that RAF veterans who actually flew in the real battle served as advisors. Marines praise this film for its tactical authenticity and the way it captures the mechanical poetry of aerial combat. The dogfights aren't edited chaos. You can follow every maneuver, every dive, every desperate turn. Critics initially complained the script wasn't strong enough, but the aerial sequences are so breathtaking they overshadow any dramatic shortcomings. The film grossed $7.3 million worldwide, but earned its place in military history as the gold standard for how you film real aircraft in real combat. Every subsequent air war movie owes a debt to this production's commitment to authenticity. Number 13, Top Gun, 1986. Tom Cruise didn't just play a fighter pilot in Top Gun. He flew an actual F-14 Tomcats with active-duty Navy pilots at the controls. Director Tony Scott paid the military $1.8 million, which breaks down to $7,600 per hour, just to access Naval Air Station Miramar, the USS Enterprise, real aircraft carriers, and genuine Super Hornets. Think about that. Every second of aerial footage costs serious money. Cruise and his castmates underwent intensive training to withstand the actual G-forces during real flights. The film became so culturally powerful that military recruiters positioned themselves in movie theaters, handling the surge of interest in naval aviation. Young people walked out wanting to be fighter pilots. The scenes aboard the carrier, the catapult launches, the low-level canyon runs, all of it is real in-flight footage captured by actual Navy pilots. Marines respect this film because it doesn't cut away. When Maverick is flying, you're not watching an actor pretending. You're watching the raw sensation of jet combat, the speed, the precision, the loneliness at 40,000 feet. The rivalry between Maverick and Iceman sells the psychological warfare pilots face. The rivalry is real. The jets are real. The stakes feel real. Over 3 decades later, it remains the film that makes you feel what aerial combat actually demands from those crazy enough to pursue it. Number 12, Red Tails, 2012. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first black fighter pilots in U.S. military history, and Red Tails tells their story with the intensity and dignity they deserve. Anthony Hemingway directs this film with the accuracy of someone who understands what's at stake beyond just the aerial combat. Terrence Howard and Cuba Gooding Jr. lead the charge against Nazi fighters over Europe while fighting prejudice from within their own military structure. The film features incredible aerial combat scenes with vintage WWII aircraft, and Marines respect it because it refuses to sanitize the racism these pilots faced daily. They were fighter pilots so good they outmaneuvered German aces regularly, yet they still faced segregation, discrimination, and institutional barriers. The dogfight sequences are spectacular and historically grounded. The production used practical effects, real aircraft whenever possible, and worked with aviation historians to ensure every maneuver was tactically sound. George Lucas produced this film and financed it himself because no studio wanted to back it initially. That level of conviction paid off. The film shows these men not as victims but as warriors who transformed history through skill, courage, and an unbreakable determination to prove they belonged in the sky. Marines recognize what this film does. It honors service regardless of circumstances. These pilots flew dangerous missions, saved lives, and changed America's understanding of what heroism actually means. Number 11, Top Gun Maverick, 2022. 36 years after the original, Tom Cruise returned as Maverick, now training a new generation of fighter pilots for an impossible mission. Director Joseph Kosinski captured real aerial footage in actual F-18 Super Hornets, with genuine Navy pilots flying alongside Cruise and his castmates. The production hired Navy aviators to teach the actors advanced flying techniques, And Cruise, now in his 60s, still pushed himself into real jets, pulling real G-forces. This film isn't a retread. It's a meditation on aging in an institution that worships youth. Maverick confronts drone warfare, the obsolescence of manned fighters, his mortality, and his unresolved grief. Yet the aerial sequences are the most stunning ever committed to film. The cinematography captures speed and motion in ways that make you feel weightless. The precision flying is extraordinary. Every loop, every brake turn, every moment of tactical brilliance was accomplished in real aircraft by real pilots. Critics called it a masterpiece of action filmmaking. Audiences embraced it as one of the greatest sequels ever made. Marines recognize it as the rare film that respects military expertise while exploring the human cost of war. The younger pilots struggle with authority, doubt, themselves, face mortality. Maverick must become a mentor despite carrying his own weight. It's a deeply human film wrapped in breathtaking aerial combat. Number 10. Midway, 2019. Roland Emmerich's Midway covers one of the most pivotal naval battles in World War II history, where American pilots turned the Pacific War when everything seemed lost. Ed Skrein plays Dick Best, a Navy pilot tasked with training the next generation of aviators while confronting his own fear. The film breaks the battle into personal stories alongside massive set pieces featuring authentic aircraft replicas and real Navy cooperation. What Marines appreciate is how Midway balances massive spectacle with intimate human drama. The pilots aren't superhuman. They're terrified, exhausted, and operating on fumes. The film shows the mechanical failures, the split-second decisions that kill you, the luck involved in survival. Emmerich actually used real aircraft and filmed on location in Hawaii near the actual Midway Atoll. The production involved extensive research to get the tactical details correct. The aerial sequences capture the chaos and confusion of real combat where you can't see everything happening around you. Planes climb into clouds and vanish. Formations break apart. The enemy appears from nowhere. It's visually spectacular yet grounded in historical fact. The film earned respect from aviation experts and military consultants who praised its accuracy. Box office success came because audiences recognized they were watching a real moment in history, portrayed with respect and precision. Number 9. Flight of the Intruder, 1991. John Milius directed this film with intense focus on the Vietnam War's aerial combat from the perspective of frustrated Navy pilots. Danny Glover and Willem Dafoe play commanders and pilots locked in conflict over military constraints that seem to handicap their missions. The film features extensive footage of A-6 Intruders and Douglas Sky Raiders, aircraft that rarely appear in war movies despite being workhorses of that conflict. What makes this film distinctive is its refusal to glorify combat while still capturing the technical precision and dangerous beauty of aerial warfare. The dogfight sequences with A-4 Skyhawks are intense and choreographed with accuracy. The bombing runs are brutal and complicated, showing how pilots must follow rules of engagement even when tactical situations suggest different approaches. Marines respect this film because it explores the psychological cost of restrictive combat parameters. The pilots are skilled, brave, and deeply frustrated by military bureaucracy. The tension between following orders and tactical innovation creates genuine dramatic conflict. The film doesn't shy away from the moral ambiguity of war. Missions succeed and fail. People die. The enemy appears and vanishes. The film earned cult status among aviation enthusiasts and serious military students who recognize its sophisticated approach to warfare beyond simple good versus evil narratives. Number 8. Devotion, 2022. Director J.D. Dillard tells the true story of Jesse Brown, the first black aviator in U.S. Navy history, and his wingman Tom Hudner during the Korean War. Jonathan Majors delivers a career-defining performance as Brown, a pilot who fights institutional racism while flying combat missions in F-4 Corsairs over North Korea. Glenn Powell plays Hudner with genuine affection and respect for his wingman's sacrifice. The film emphasizes practical effects and used real aircraft whenever possible, painted in accurate period markings. What's remarkable is how Devotion refuses to make Brown's achievement about overcoming racism within the broader narrative. His race is the context. His skill as a pilot is the story. He's not a symbolic figure. He's a warrior facing an enemy that wants to kill him. The aerial combat sequences are stunning, with pilots maneuvering at extreme angles and speeds. The cinematography captures the loneliness of flying at altitude where weather, mechanical failure, and enemy fire constantly threaten survival. Marines praise this film for treating its subject with respect and recognizing that racial barriers didn't diminish his capabilities. They made his missions harder, not because of anything he did wrong, but because of institutional failure. His legacy demonstrates that excellence transcends any barrier if you're willing to fly into fire repeatedly. The film honors that sacrifice while showing the bond between wingmen and the absolute trust required to survive combat operations. Number 7. Flyboys, 2006. Set before World War I officially includes the United States, Flyboys tells the story of young Americans who volunteer for the French military and become the Lafayette Escadrille. Tony Bill directs with authentic period aircraft that recreate the earliest aerial dogfights. James Franco plays one of these young pilots, and the film captures their training, their friendship, and their growing skill in aircraft so primitive compared to modern fighters they seem almost impossibly fragile. The wooden frames, fabric wings, and unreliable engines create a different kind of fear. These pilots flew at 70 miles per hour while trying to shoot each other with pistols and rifles initially. The film shows them arming their aircraft with synchronized machine guns as technology advanced. The aerial combat sequences are captivating because everything moves slowly compared to modern jet fighters. Every maneuver is visible and deliberate. Every mistake is fatal and irreversible. Marines respect this film because it shows the earliest warriors in aerial combat when the rules were being invented. These pilots developed tactics that naval aviators still study. The film captures the camaraderie among pilots who knew each mission might be their last. Friendships formed under extreme circumstances carry weight that regular friendships never achieve. The cinematography captures early flight with romantic beauty while showing its genuine danger. Young men perform their own stunts in replica aircraft, creating authentic sequences that make you feel the primitive terror of early aviation warfare. Number 6. The Final Countdown, 1980. This unique film blends science fiction with military aviation by sending the USS Nimitz, a modern nuclear carrier, back in time to 1941 just before Pearl Harbor. The Navy cooperated fully, allowing the production to film aboard the actual carrier with full air wings on deck, including F-14 Tomcats, A-7 Corsair II jets, and SH-3 Sea King helicopters. The climax features a legendary cat-and-mouse aerial duel where two modern F-14 Tomcats engage with Japanese Zero fighters. The Zeros were actually cleverly modified T-6 Texans painted to resemble historical aircraft. The result is an astonishing contrast, showing technological advancement across 40 years of aviation. Marines and aviation enthusiasts laud this film for its authentic carrier operations and the detailed accuracy of flight procedures. The dialogue between pilots communicates real tactics. The radio calls follow actual Navy protocol. The sense of speed and positioning is grounded in reality. Even though the film's premise is fantastical, everything within that premise is executed with military precision. The special effects, though created in 1980, hold up surprisingly well because they're supplemented with real aircraft footage. The film captures the wonder of naval aviation while showing the genuine danger of carrier operations, where planes launch from moving decks and land on spaces the size of postage stamps while traveling at high speeds. Number 5. Memphis Belle, 1990. Director Michael Caton Jones tells the true story of the B-17 bomber crews flying dangerous daylight bombing runs over Germany during World War II. The production was shot on location in England and used 5 original B-17s during filming, creating an authenticity that's palpable throughout. The film focuses on the 25th mission that completes a bomber crew's rotation home if they survive it. That central tension drives every scene. The aerial sequences show bomber formations under attack by German fighters, the coordination required to maintain formation despite heavy casualties, and the terror of watching your wingman's plane explode. Marines respect this film because it captures a different kind of air warfare than fighter pilots experience. Bomber crews are trapped in massive machines that handle like trucks, vulnerable to attacks they can't escape. Fighter pilots can maneuver. Bomber crews maintain altitude and course despite anti-aircraft fire and fighter attacks. The film shows the damage these aircraft sustain and still fly home with half their structures shot away. Matthew Modine leads the crew with quiet competence, and the ensemble cast creates genuine camaraderie born from shared trauma. The cinematography captures the vast emptiness of high-altitude flight, the beauty of formations moving through clouds, and the absolute horror when those formations break apart under enemy fire. Number 4. Dunkirk, 2017. Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk tells the 1940 evacuation of Allied troops through 3 intersecting timelines on land, sea, and air. Tom Hardy plays a Spitfire pilot providing air cover for troops on the beaches, and his storyline showcases some of the most technically impressive aerial sequences in modern cinema. The production used real aircraft, real locations in France, and captured the evacuation with visceral intensity. Hans Zimmer's haunting score combines with minimal dialogue to create constant tension. What Marines appreciate is how Dunkirk treats air combat as one element of a larger military operation rather than the center of attention. Hardy's pilot fights his own battle above the beaches while soldiers struggle below. The air support is crucial but incomplete. Fuel runs low. More enemies arrive. The pilot must make terrible decisions with incomplete information. The film refuses to wrap combat in glory. It's chaos, confusion, and survival. Nolan's direction emphasizes real-time pacing, making viewers experience the desperation that actual combat personnel face. The Spitfire sequences capture both the engineering marvel of these aircraft and the vulnerability of pilots relying on outdated machines against newer German fighters. The cinematography shows speed and motion in ways that make you feel weightless during high-G maneuvers. Number 3. Stealth, 2005. Rob Cohen directs this science fiction action film exploring cutting-edge fighter jet technology and the consequences of artificial intelligence in warfare. Josh Lucas, Jessica Biel, and Jamie Foxx play Navy pilots operating advanced F-32 fighter jets alongside an autonomous AI program called Eddie. The film balances spectacular aerial sequences with thoughtful exploration of what happens when machines learn to make lethal decisions. While the premise is fantastical, the aviation sequences are grounded in realistic military operations. The jets perform maneuvers derived from actual fighter tactics. The radio communications follow Navy protocol. Marines respect this film because it explores a future where their expertise might become obsolete. The drama isn't between pilots and enemies, but between pilots and technology they don't fully understand. The aerial combat sequences are stunning, with multiple camera angles showing formations, breaks, and defensive maneuvers performed with military precision. The film received criticism for the science fiction premise overshadowing the character development, but aviation enthusiasts praise the detailed attention to jet operations and the moral questions the film raises about autonomous weapons systems. The climactic sequences feature sustained aerial combat that tests the pilot's abilities against both enemy aircraft and their own technology, failing them. Number 2. Saving Private Ryan, 1998. Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan opens with the most horrifying depiction of combat ever captured. The Omaha beach landing, where Navy support aircraft bomb German positions while infantry soldiers are slaughtered. The air support provides crucial firepower but remains incomplete and sometimes devastating to friendly forces. Tom Hanks and his squad must traverse war-torn France to find Private James Ryan while aerial bombardment and fighter aircraft constantly remind them they're operating beneath a larger war. The production was brutal. Spielberg cast real amputees portraying soldiers who'd lost limbs, adding devastating realism to the combat sequences. The cast underwent training led by Marine veteran Dale Dye. The naval gunfire support and air support scenes show coordination between ground forces and aviation in ways that ground-based war films often miss. Marines recognize the accuracy of how Spielberg portrays air support as essential but imperfect. Planes sometimes arrive too late or target the wrong position. Air superiority doesn't guarantee tactical success. The film earned 5 Academy Awards and changed how Hollywood depicts combat. The visceral reality of war became the standard against which subsequent films were measured. The scenes involving military aviation serve as crucial reminders that ground combat occurs within a larger operational environment where air power functions as essential but limited support. Number 1. Come and See, 1985. L.M. Klimov's. Come and See is an absolute masterpiece that plunges viewers into the horrors of Nazi occupation in Belarus through the eyes of a teenage boy named Floria who joins Soviet partisans. While this film isn't exclusively about air combat, its aerial bombardment sequences are so devastating and surreal that they fundamentally changed how war films depict destruction from above. The film uses actual explosions with disturbing realism. Planes drop bombs that devastate entire villages. The destruction is complete and absolute. The cinematography captures the terror of ground soldiers facing aerial bombardment from aircraft they can't see until the bombs arrive. Marines recognize this film as the most unflinching depiction of war's madness ever attempted. The aerial sequences aren't exciting or thrilling. They're horrifying and transformative. The lead actor's face changes throughout the film as he witnesses atrocities and bombardment that rewire his understanding of humanity. The production used practical effects and real explosions, creating sequences so intense that viewers report feeling physically shaken hours after watching. The film didn't shy away from showing the psychological destruction that aerial combat inflicts on those below and those performing the bombing. It's a meditation on war's absolute brutality without glorification or narrative redemption. Military personnel respect this film because it refuses to sanitize what aerial warfare actually does to human beings. So there you have it, 15 films that actual Marines say capture the essence of aerial warfare with authenticity and respect. From the technical mastery of Battle of Britain to the surreal horror of Come and See, these movies understand that air combat isn't just about flying fast and shooting straight. It's about courage, sacrifice, and the weight of decisions made at enormous speeds. Which of these films shocked you the most? Did we miss any air war masterpieces that deserve recognition? And here's what'll start a real discussion. Are modern aerial combat films better than the practical effects films of decades past? Or did the digital revolution steal something essential from military aviation storytelling? Drop your take below.